I'll be remembered, but will you? Bill McDonald's the baddest that I would turn to. CEO with the shit that's a dope motherfucker. He'll always win, there's no going under. The top of the crown resting on his head. The beast is alive, he'll never be dead. If he dreamt before, bring it back to life. Push harder for it, let us survive. Show courage and strength, it's okay to be scared, but don't let it stop you, always stay prepared. Bill Showman School, they're just not beginning. Winners fucking win, losers talk about winning.
Welcome to the Bearded Beast Show. My name is Bill, and I am the Bearded Beast. Boy, do we have an episode for you today. I have my guest, Adam Lucero, here, who is going to explain to you what happened to him in 2016 in a movie theater. Wait till you hear this. Adam, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate you having me. And yeah, basically it's one of those classic stories where you just go to the movie theater and get stabbed in the throat. Just the classic situation you typically find yourself in.
Now, were you there alone or were you with someone?
Yeah, so I was there alone. So a little bit of backstory on that was basically I was in Northern California looking for housing because I accepted a sales job upon graduating college. And I stayed with my aunt, but she told me on Wednesday I had to be out of the house for 8 hours. And I only knew one person in the area, so I hung out with him for 4 hours. And then he was like, all right, man, I got to go. So I have 4 hours to kill, don't know anyone. So I decided, like, whatever, I'll just go to a movie by myself and kill some time real quick.
No pun intended with kill some time. Man, what
What
are the percentages and the chances of this actually happening?
I mean, I don't think there's much data, but probably I guess there is data. It's probably like 1 in tens of millions or something like that. It's something astronomical. It's one of those stories that you only hear about on the news until it's you, essentially.
All right, so I'm reading it here, and you said that you were stabbed in the throat, arm, and chest, and the chef knife went halfway through your throat.
Yeah.
That is almost, I mean, I can't even imagine at that moment what was possibly going through your mind.
Yeah, so at that moment, nothing was going through my mind. Survival was going through my mind. So there's no time to think in those scenarios. You're just fully present in the moment. It's just adrenaline coursing through you, blood flowing out of you. And so at first I thought it was a punch. Like I'm just sitting there watching a movie and then I feel a hard hit to my throat. And my initial reaction was actually like, this dude hit me hard. And so I stood up and I was like, dude, what the hell? And then I felt another punch to my arm and chest. And then at this point I turned around and I was like, all right, screw this guy. So I pushed him. And as I push him, I feel a cut on my wrist and ear. And that's when it dawned on me. I was like, those weren't punches. Like, this guy stabbed me. Because the thing is, like, we only have the experience of being sliced by a knife. And the slice feeling is much more different than a pierce. Or at least it was in my experience. So anyways, once I realized that I'd been stabbed, I started yelling, I've been stabbed, I've been stabbed. The lights turned on. He started running off. And then I took off my shirt and wrapped it around my neck, and I was just holding the blood in.
Oh, wow.
And 2 older women come running up, and like, what should we do? And I was like, just put pressure on my neck, like hold it down right there. And then I hear someone say, should we call 911? And I swear to God, I'm bleeding out, and I'm so pissed off. I'm just so pissed off. I'm like, can you guys just help me a little bit? And so I yelled back to him, like, literally the exact quote was, yeah, you should fucking call 911. If you don't call them in this situation, when the fuck would you? Like, I was just so pissed off. I was like, are you guys kidding me right now? This is what 911 is designed for. Yeah. And so
it's not funny, but to hear you tell the story and someone actually have to ask that question is a little amusing. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, exactly. In their defense, I'm pretty sure it was like middle schoolers or something like that. But yeah, anyways, so then the paramedics get there and they start asking me all these questions, like, what year is it? Who's president? What's your mom's name? And I get it. They're making sure I'm conscious, aware of what's going on. Maybe they want me to stay awake. But I'm just so annoyed. I'm like, shut up and save my life type of thing. That's all I'm feeling inside. And then so they're like, all right, let's get him up on the stretcher. And so they pin me up on the stretcher. And I feel all those places where I got stabbed worse than the initial stabbing because I don't have the adrenaline in me anymore.
Yeah.
So they had one person in the front right of the stretcher, one on the front left, one back right, and one back left. Now, I'm sitting in like 4th row from the back, like And I tell you this because the person in the front right of the stretcher steps over a row of chairs, and I feel all my wounds worse than the initial stabbing. And then the front left, then the back right, and then back left. So for every row of seats there was, which there was a bunch of them, I felt like I got stabbed in all those places over and over and over again. And it was the most excruciating pain I've endured. Like, I remember looking at the ceiling and just like thinking or trying not to scream my guts out because there's just like agony. And then so they get me to the ambulance and I start to relax. I'm like, okay, the paramedics got me. I don't need to worry. Like, they got me.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I get that thought, I feel a cold rush in my entire body. And it like dawned on me. I was like, I lost a lot of blood. I could actually die here. And then the paramedics, they put a mask over me. And I remember thinking, don't fall asleep. You're not supposed to fall asleep in this situation. But I knocked out. And then I woke up 7 days later in an induced coma, or from an induced coma. And I was just living off tubes. Like, literally, if you unplugged those tubes, you unplugged my life, or you unplugged the machines, I should say. And so at this point, I was just completely weak, broken, and left me in a completely pathetic state, a state where I questioned if I was good enough to achieve the goals I had, because I always wanted to run a business, and it just left me in this point where I was like, I can't even think clearly. My legs don't work anymore. So ultimately, that's my story in a nutshell.
All right. So I read, the part of the story that you wrote, and you did write that your legs forgot to work. So you couldn't even stand up, right? So you had to relearn. Mm-hmm. And then you did mention here that you had nerve damage in your tongue that prevented you from even being able to talk.
Yeah.
So how did you go from legs not working to now? I see it looked like videos that you're running, and obviously you're talking good. You do own a business now, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can talk into that. And basically, what happened was, after not moving for like 7 days, being in that coma, my legs literally forgot how to work. And I remember because we tried standing up, and it was literally just my legs did not support me. So we had to relearn to walk again. I had nerve damage in my tongue that prevented me from being able to speak after I wasn't living off tubes, and just so many different things. But I had this one point, like when my legs didn't work, I was like really pissed off because I used to be a Division I track athlete, cross country runner, and I was like, my legs don't work. Like, this is crazy. And so I told myself, in 1 year, I'm going to be faster, I'm going to be stronger, and then I'm going to be happier than I was before, because before this happened, I was just in a great place. And so within 1 year, I ran a 4:59 mile. I was picking up not as much weight as before, but pretty close to it. And I was in a great place. And so basically that was all due to the process of, one, I accepted what happened to me. And as soon as I had this acceptance, I went from being a victim to stepping into my power and being able to achieve what I wanted. And so the first step was acceptance. The second was just simply executing everything that I needed to do. I had to go to speech therapy, normal therapy, physical therapy. I have metal plates in my jaw. I had to get that checked out at an EMT. And then on top of it, like, I just didn't have the energy. I kid you not. In order for me to eat a meal, I would have to nap. Literally at my plate, I'd fall asleep, wake up, and finish my meal. Wow. Because that required so much energy. I remember like simple things like going to the bathroom. No, that was like a mental chore. I was like, God damn it, I got to get up and go to the bathroom. Like, it was no simple feat. And so I had to learn how to boost my energy levels again. I literally couldn't think clearly. I felt like a 4-year-old cognitive function-wise, at least. And I say that because you could have asked me what is 11 times 11. I wouldn't know the answer. And so I had to learn how to boost our mental alertness, how we can do that through nutrition, fitness, and everything from A to Z. And so it led me to this point where I literally had to study human performance and human optimization so that I could achieve the goals I set for myself. And just every single day, week by week, month by month, I started to get stronger, faster, was able to boost my energy, work longer, do longer workouts, whatever it was. And just one step at a time, eventually we got there.
All right, so we're going to get into that in a second. But what I'm hearing you say, and where I think a lot of people that I believe fail, is you were able to accept what had happened to you. You didn't hold on to the anger, right? So you were able to let it go. And I think a lot of people can't let go of what's happened to them in the past so that they can grow into the future. So if you were not able to let go, or did they ever catch this guy?
Yeah, so he's in jail or prison now, or jail would be jail. But he actually stabbed a homeless man 50
Oh
times
my God.
2 days prior. So the cops were looking for him when he attacked me, and then they got him. And so he was just schizophrenic in his own world. And I actually have no hard feelings for him. Like, I feel bad for the guy and hope he has a good rest of his life. And the reason's simple, because he couldn't go to court. So he had to work with a psychiatrist or whoever it needed to be for him to regain consciousness. And so once he did regain consciousness and he found out what he did, he pled guilty. He felt so bad about it. And it just shows that he was battling his own demons, like,
Right.
so to speak.
Right,
You
because
know,
we
maybe
never really
you-
know what someone's battling, right? We look at the outer individual and just think, well, hey, there's a guy on the corner who doesn't want to go to work, but we have no idea what is mentally going on inside of his mind. So I was going to ask you that at some point, did he found out what he did and he had a lot of remorse?
Yeah, and so that just goes to show again that his intentions were never bad, but it's like, who's to say if I didn't grow up in his circumstances, I would have been any different,
Right.
Like, he was a homeless man, didn't have, what if you don't have food, you're drinking terrible, like, waters that have toxins and chemicals in it, whatever it may be, your body and just how your brain performs is going to function way different, And so, again, it shows his intention was never to harm me. I guess his intention was when he was out of his mind, but he was out of his mind. So I hope that he's able to overcome and forgive himself and eventually move past what he did. Because look, it's like, again, I don't think he's a bad guy, as crazy as that sounds.
All right, so you evolved from this situation. You talk about, obviously that's a mindset thing, right? Being able to get your mind in the right place and think correctly and understand that I got to let go of the past to move into the future. But you talked about creating more energy for yourself. So is that something that you help people do?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, we have three different main pillars where we help people, but the first one's going to be mind related. Second one is going to be what we call superhuman performance. It's how do you boost your energy levels, think more clearly, because first of all, if you crash throughout the day, you're not going to be productive. So we want to make sure you can work as long as you want to work and grind without your energy being an issue. If you don't think clearly, the quality of your work isn't going to be good. Move your business or your work forward, and you make worse decisions. So we just want to get you into a state where you have focus, energy, and the mental alertness to produce quality work and work long hours if that's what you choose. And so to do this, there's lots of ways you can go about it. So in the most simple terms, we look at your health. I mean, that's really what's going to affect your energy levels the most, is first your sleep. So sleep's obviously going to be the biggest factor, dialing that in your circadian rhythm, which deals with your hormone regulation. But then the second factor is going to be nutrition. So you can actually build the metabolic state to use fat for energy, whereas most people are using glycogen or carbs for energy.
Yep.
And the analogy I like using for that is, imagine you were camping and you had to make a fire. Yeah, and you can grab a bunch of small twigs and build a roaring flame real quick, but then it's going to dwindle. That's kind of like carbs or glycogen. You have energy for an hour or two, but then you crash, you get grumpy, you get angry, if they even call it angry or whatever, that term. And again, that's because the blood sugar spike. And so using fats for energy is like getting big logs. It's going to be very sustainable and last throughout the entire nighttime. It's much more consistent, much more consistent is the way to go about it. So that's something you can do in terms of your nutrition, is build a metabolic state to use fat for energy, and you're not going to crash throughout the day. You can go 8 hours without eating, and it won't affect your performance. In fact, I've had times where I literally towards after probably 8 hours or 9 hours of working and doing chores or whatever it may be, I was like, something feels a little bit off. I was like, what's going on? And then I realized, I haven't eaten 8 or 9 hours. Whereas before, if you're on carbs or glycogen for energy, you're not making it that 8 hours. Your performance is gonna crash much sooner.
Right.
And so those are some of the key things that we really focus on. And then obviously we can take it a little bit further. There's workouts that can increase your mitochondria, so you have more energy. There's workouts that can deliver more oxygen to your brain, so you think more clearly. And so again, it's just really factoring every aspect of your health in a sense.
So it sounds like, do you use intermittent fasting? Would that be a method that someone could use
Yes.
if they're using more fats than they are like sugar related foods?
Yeah, so fasting's typically, I mean, it's just good for your health in general. People tend to have more focus in there too. But yeah, I like fasting a lot when you have the metabolic state for fat for energy too. You just feel really good for whatever reason. But that's not something we necessarily include, but I always recommend it. If someone ever asks me, like, should I fast? I'm like, yeah, at least give it a go, because that's the thing. It's like, you're never going to know if it's worth it unless you try it, right? Like,
Right.
How could you possibly know if it's going to benefit your life if you don't actually try it? So it's like, with everything that we recommend, it's like you got to find something that fits your lifestyle too. And so try it for 2 weeks, see what the benefits are, see if it hindered your quality of life in any way, and then choose. Like, make an educated decision. Like, did this improve my performance, my health? Did I like it? Is it worth it? And so that's ultimately what we help our clients do, is just do all these things that can potentially boost their performance, find what they like, and build a sustainable lifestyle around it so that they're always in a high performance state. They're super productive.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic. So how long have you been doing that for?
Yeah, so about probably 3. So I've been studying this for about 6-7 years or something like that, but teaching it in a program sense for probably about 3 years.
Is this what you always wanted to do? Was that the business you were talking about that you knew you wanted to have?
Yeah, so it's kind of come in a full circle. As like most entrepreneurs, you kind of pivot, you try different things, but yeah, ultimately what happened, at least in my experience, was this is what I wanted to build a business around, is performance. I always love helping people perform on a higher level. I love seeing them be able to go accomplish way more than they ever have. First of all, have the mindset that they can start a business or grow it to 7 figures or multi-7 figures, to have that perspective change so that they actually pursue it or believe in themselves and execute well. Because if you don't believe in yourself, that's going to show in your quality of work.
Right. You can't achieve what you don't believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. So again, we help you become the 7-figure entrepreneur, because then the results are effortlessly going to show in your business type of thing. You see, and so it's look at Elon Musk as an example. The guy can create billion-dollar businesses on repeat. Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink. Why can he build these time and time again? It's because his perspective, thoughts, and actions lead to that path. The first thing is perspective. We got to get you operating in a place where you're immune to your circumstances. You will never find yourself saying, I don't have time to do this, or I can achieve this because of X, Y, and Z. We get that shit out of there.
Yep.
And then after that, it's about making sure you're consistently motivated and you take consistent action. You're passionate about growing your business. So it's not a chore. You feel excited to do it. And so we do this by linking your two minds together, your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. I could go into that much more depth, but yeah, so that's usually the first step. Again, superhuman performance, energy levels, mental alertness, get you in a state where you're producing quality work that actually grows your business. I typically work with entrepreneurs. And then the final step is, if you're an entrepreneur, we got to make sure you're operating like a CEO. We don't want to spend all your time doing tedious tasks that you could outsource for $5 an hour, like scheduling your content or editing your videos. It's no, we want to get you focusing on the high key action items that are going to grow your business. And so in a nutshell, that's our system.
It sounds great to me. I don't know if you've ever listened to my show, but my show is based around, growth and mindset and, turning someone, I'm trying to give people the opportunity to live their best life possible, right? Live the best version of themselves. So I am an entrepreneur. I've grown my business, substantially, to the point where I want to run this by you, and here's a theory that I run by. I work off of something I call now ethical capitalism. Okay, so that version to me is, I have done everything that I needed to do in the steps of my business to create it to where it is. I'm not going to throw you out some numbers, but the numbers would blow your mind of what we do on a daily basis. So my ethical capitalism to me is, now I show up for everyone who works for me, because I feel I have an obligation to them to create the life that I have for them as well.
For themselves. Gotcha. That's awesome.
And let them know that that's why I'm here now. I'm here to, and I'll be honest with you, you mentioned, CEOs, and I am the CEO of my company, but I don't operate out of an office. I operate on the floor with my people. If I have an appointment for someone to meet with me, They can meet with me in front of my people. I have nothing to hide. No appointments are behind closed doors. Every single person in my business can hear everything. I give them numbers at the end of every month where we are. So to me, I feel that I don't know. And you may differ. You run a program on this, but I just don't believe in sitting at a desk and just shouting orders at people.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like you're just a great leader. It's ultimately what that sounds like.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You talked about being an entrepreneur and 7-figure number. Do you believe that everyone can be a 7-figure entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's just a matter of the commitment, right? I think everyone has the potential. Every human has the same potential.
Correct.
So ultimately anyone can, but it's like not everyone's going to be, right? Some people just aren't cut out to be entrepreneurs. Like that's just not how they're hardwired or whatever it may be. And then on top of it, when you're an entrepreneur, it's like you have to work so hard on growth and development. If you don't do that, your business will not succeed. It's the person who you are being that's going to produce the results in your business. If you want a 7-figure business, you have to be that 7-figure entrepreneur. What do? Well, first of all, they take full responsibility. If something doesn't go right, they say it's their fault.
Yep.
Because most 6-figure entrepreneurs or lower ones aren't producing much. Well, they don't take responsibility. They say, oh, I couldn't grow my business because of X, Y, and Z. The economy took a hit. My business partner did this or that. But they're losing all their power. They're saying that hitting their goals and growing their business is out of their control, that there's an external factor that actually dictates their success. And so in that instant, because of their mental frame of victim mindset, they lose all their power. And the worst part is they don't find a solution because they're just in there blaming others, making excuses. 7-figure entrepreneurs and above, they'll take responsibility because now that gives them the power to actually find a solution. And so it's like, look at Elon Musk. He's doing things that most people deem impossible.
Yep.
But do you think when he runs into a roadblock, he goes, oh, no, this isn't possible? No, that's a victim mentality. It doesn't enable him to find a solution. He takes full responsibility, finds a freaking solution. So again, if you're not being 100% responsible, you're not going to have that 7-figure business. Now, their analogy is like, or not an analogy, but it's like the same with like commitment. It's like when you look at the highest performers, they don't let how they feel on a given day dictate what they do. Do you think Tony Robbins goes, oh, I'm not feeling good, so you know what? We're canceling my event today. No, he powers through because he's committed to the results he wants and the impact he wants to have.
Right.
And so there's just key underlying ways of being or habits, whatever you want to say, that they just make them operate in a more powerful place, and the results are going to be a byproduct in their business because of that.
And I agree with you 1,000%. One other thing that I operate inside my company is, and this may sound strange to some people, and I do have leaders and I do have people in management positions, but an employee cannot actually be let go by anyone other than myself. A manager can bring a situation to me and explain to me why he believes someone may need to be let go, but I need to sit down with that person before it gets to that point. And I need to make sure that as a company and as even their manager gave them all the tools to succeed.
They need.
Because if we didn't, it's actually our fault. So I want to dive into the reason. I want to find out how we got to where we are. Why are we having this conversation? Why did someone bring to me that this person may need to move on from our business? I want to know what happened. If we provided them all the opportunities that they could to succeed and it still didn't work out, then I mean, we just have to agree to part ways. But I think that we have to agree to understand that it is our job as entrepreneurs and business owners to provide every single person that comes to work for us the tools to be successful. And I think a lot of companies fail at that, right? They just hire people and they continue to go through turnover. I have less than 0.1% turnover in my company.
That's crazy.
There's a list of people that want to come work for me because of that reason. And I'm on the floor working with everybody, and that we value every person who works for us from the entry level position to the highest level position you can get below me. Everybody's treated the same. Nobody's treated differently. And I just think some business owners fail to grasp the concept and understand that even the person sweeping the floor you need them just as much as you need the vice president.
Yeah, they're all very key.
So, we talk about procrastination. How do you help people? How do you kill procrastination? How do you get over that? Right. You talked about Tony Robbins getting up and he may not feel like, oh, I really want to go on stage and talk to these people right now. I just don't feel like doing it. Let's cancel the show. There's times I get out of bed, and I'm sure, you can say the same thing. Not every single person, regardless of how high of a level individual we are, is going to wake up every day and want to do what it is that we do, right?
Yeah. So a few things we could touch up on there. There's multiple ways you can tackle procrastination. This is literally what my specialty is. That's what the first pillar is all about, linking your two minds together. You kill procrastination when that happens. But in short, where you have to start operating from is commitment. Because to what you're saying with Tony Robbins, right? It doesn't matter if he doesn't feel good. He goes and does it because he's committed to the business he wants, to the impact he wants. And commitment means it doesn't, even when you wake up feeling like you don't want to work out, that means you still go because you're committed to the results you want. So what I always say is look back at any area of your life that you've exceeded, whether it was school, a sports team, your business, career, whatever it is. And you're going to quickly realize you were committed, whether it was to, let's say high school, for example, you were committed to finishing so that you could go to college or get good grades. And that enabled you to push through all those times you didn't want to study. Or if you're in college, you were committed because you wanted to get a job after. That's what you were committed to. And so you push through these things you don't want to do because you're committed. Versus look back at any time I wouldn't like saying the term failed, but you failed, you didn't get the result you wanted. You likely weren't committed. You stopped doing the necessary things you did. You let your emotions dictate your actions. You start playing the short term instead of the long term. And commitment breaks that vicious cycle. It enables you to push through those times you don't want to. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, it does, because, I often tell people the same thing. Like, a lot of people want to live off of motivation, right? Like, I'm motivated to do this. Well, motivation will only take you so far. The commitment is what gets you to reach the goals that you're trying to reach. Just like you said, you can be motivated all you want to get up and work out, but it's easy to say, well, okay, I was motivated to do it, but tomorrow's another day, right? Commitment is what you're saying is where you don't feel like doing it, what it is that you need to do, but you do it anyway. And that's where you build those skills of growth, because it's doing the shit that you don't want to do on a daily basis that you do. And those are the big separators between high-level performers and medium-level performers and low-level people, right? Is doing that shit anyway, regardless of how you feel. All right.
So to your point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to talk about one other thing we could do for procrastination, but if we want to go another direction, we can go there too.
Yeah, let's hear it. Go ahead.
And so there's multiple ways to tackle procrastination. What we just discussed is what I call more of a macro strategy. It's more of a mindset shift, a single mindset shift that if you truly grasp it, and again, usually people grasp it by being taught it in a certain way, but nonetheless, that can instantly kill procrastination. But oftentimes, what you could also do is more of the micro strategy. And so what I say is 95% of our decisions are made by our habits or subconscious mind. That's how our subconscious mind operates. And so the way I often like explaining it is like, you probably brush your teeth every single night, regardless of how tired, lazy, or unmotivated you are, right? So why is it so easy for you to do that versus all these other times when you don't feel motivated to go work out? Well, it's simple. You're in the habit of brushing your teeth. But imagine if you were in the habit of sticking to your word to the point it was as easy and effortless as it was for you to brush your teeth. Like, what would your body look like if you kept your word from last year to work out?
Yep.
How much further along would you be in your career, your business, if you kept your word to be productive every single day? So the point is, what we actually focus on doing is building the habit of sticking to your word. Like, this is the most crucial thing. And I promise anyone who's listening to this podcast right now, if for the next 30 days, all you did was focus on keeping your promises to yourself and other people, and you did it at 100% rate, your life would be night and day. And the beauty in this is that's how habits work. It's all through repetition. Eventually 1 month, 2 months, 3 months passes of you sticking to everything you told yourself you do. It becomes habitual, it becomes effortless. You don't think about it. If you told yourself you're going to go run 3 hours or walk for 3 hours, even though it's a big, massive feat, you'd still do it because you're in the habit of it. And I know this sounds like nonsense. You're probably thinking right now, no, I wouldn't. But that's just because you haven't actually experienced this raw power. And I say that because, I mean, again, just my clients literally tell me they feel like they have a superpower. That's what they say. If I tell myself I'm not drinking for 2 months, I don't drink, not a freaking sip. And so I've just seen it through my own experience, but also my clients. It becomes a superpower if you can just simply keep your promises to yourself. Then procrastination will be killed. Now, the trick to this is you want to start off with smaller feats. So the thing is, if you're in a point where you consistently break your habits, don't go make these huge declarations that, oh, I'm going to work out every single day for a full year. Well, you're not in the habit of working out or keeping your promises, so it's very unlikely you will. And now you're getting in the habit of not keeping your promises. So start with these smaller changes every single day. Give yourself 3 simple tasks to do, things that will take two minutes or less. Go read for 2 minutes. Just the act of you picking up the book is what's going to be vital. But the other part is you're keeping your promises to yourself, so that habit's getting stronger and stronger. And so I just hope if anyone's listening, like, I promise you, if you give me 30 days of that, you'll be the most powerful version of yourself. You'll take action regardless of how you feel.
No, and everybody listening needs to be listening to what you're saying because you are 100% correct. We usually set ourselves up for failure, right? We, just like you said, you're not trained. You haven't trained yourself to work out every single day. So why are you saying I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours every day? We make unrealistic goals, right? And then when we don't reach them, we just say, oh well. So you got to start with the baby steps, right? If you're gonna become a person who tries to do something for 30 days and maybe it's a workout, maybe you set a 15 to 20 minute goal. You can always increase it during those 30 days, right? You don't have to stick to the 15 to 20 minutes. You just have to make sure you're doing a workout for 30 days.
Yeah, you just got to make sure you're actually keeping your promises, doing the workouts. And the best part is, to your point, it's like once you get in the gym, like that's the hard part. Usually you start working out, you're like, oh, this is cool. I feel good. Like I like this pump, And so it's just getting over that mental hurdle to initially start, right?
No, you're right. It's getting to the door. Most people fail to get to the door, right? They have great intentions. Oh, I'm going to go. I mean, that's why gyms make so much money at the beginning of every year, right? So many people sign up because that's going to be their New Year's resolution. And after, 2 weeks, the gym membership's only $10, so I'm not going to cancel it because I'll still go when I want, but I haven't been there in 3 months. And I believe in a way that, some of these larger gyms, that was brilliant of them to lower the price of their monthly membership because they lower it so much to where it's not really a big factor in somebody's life. They keep the membership regardless if they go or not.
You'd feel worse about yourself canceling the membership, so that's why they never cancel. Exactly. They're like, I'd rather pay $10 than feel like shit about myself.
You're 100% correct. And before we close, and I truly appreciate everything that you've had to say on here. I mean, I agree with everything that you got going on. Where can somebody reach out to you? Where can they find what you do? How can they get your help?
Yep. So 2 ways is what I like saying is you can go to superhumanceo.com. Again, it's just going to have some case studies, some information about me. And then if you want, you can book a call with me or my team. We'll see if what we have is a good fit for what you need. Second is you can go to my Instagram, which is Adam Lucero 1. And then it's the number 1. You don't spell it out. So yeah, Adam Lucero 1 is my Instagram. You can message me, follow me, or just go to my website, book a call, and we'll see what's good.
Awesome. I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to go to that Instagram site myself. So any chance you would like to come back on at all?
Yeah, definitely. Just let me know when.
All right, cool. I got your number now. I'll reach out to you. Adam, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. I really appreciate it. And you brought a lot of value for my listeners, so I appreciate that.
Hey, appreciate you having me on.
All right, have a great rest of your day, my friend.
You too. Catch you later.
Bye.
I'll be remembered, what will you? From McDonald's, the baddest that I would turn to. CEO with the shit that's a dope motherfucker. he'll always win. There's no going under, the top of the crown resting on his head. The beast is alive, he'll never be dead. If he dreamt before, bring it back to life. Push harder for it, let us survive. Show courage and strength, it's okay to be scared, but don't let it stop you, always stay prepared. Bill Showman school, they're just not beginning. Winners fucking win, losers talk about winning.